Hello, my name is Katherine Howells, and I'm the Visual Collections Researcher at the National Archives. In this talk, I'm going to tell you about a wonderful collection of artwork, photographs, and advertising material held at the archive in a series called Copy 1. First, I'll give you an overview of the history and nature of the records in this collection. I'll then go on to talk about the volunteer cataloguing project, which is currently in progress, and explain why this is so important. Finally, I'll talk about some interesting research that has been made possible by the hard work of our volunteers in cataloguing this material. From the 16th century, individuals and businesses could secure copyright protection for published works by submitting an application for registration to the Stationers' Company. People became increasingly concerned with reforming the copyright system in the 19th century, and a succession of Copyright Acts were passed to alter what could be protected under copyright and how this should actually work. The copyright records held at the National Archives are those that were registered under these Acts from 1842 onwards. Early copyright legislation focused on protecting works of literature, drama, music, and art. It wasn't until 1862 and the Fine Arts Copyright Act that copyright was extended to paintings, drawings, and photographs. This new act meant that, for the first time, people began to protect artwork created for advertising and more commercial purposes. In order to protect a work under the Fine Arts Copyright Act, individuals and companies had to send an example of the work with an attached completed registration form to Stationers' Hall. These records were eventually transferred from the Stationers' Company to the Public Record Office, now the National Archives. And these forms and attached images are held in record series called Copy 1. On a very basic level, the collection is categorized into two types of image, photographs and paintings and drawings. The collection of photographs includes many different kinds and can be a rich source for research. They include portraits of famous people, such as this one of the Duke of York from 1890, and press photographs documenting key events, people and places. On the right here is a photograph of suffragette Ernestine Mills, taken during the Black Friday demonstration of 1910. Since people were registering photographs right from the early days of the medium, there are many interesting examples of new developments in the field. There are panoramic photographs, such as this one of Ascot from 1865, examples of photographic experiments to depict movement, such as this image on the left created by pioneer Edward Muybridge, and on the right we have a stereoscopic photograph of Blackpool. You can also learn about the lighter side of Victorian and Edwardian visual culture. There are dramatic staged photographs taken of theatrical productions, such as this on the left showing actors as Romeo and Juliet. On the right, we have a photograph of some kittens, perhaps intended for a postcard or greetings cards. And at the top, a photograph of some skeleton musicians. This is a good example of a major issue with these records, as the entry forms don't usually give an indication of the image's intended use. This means that for some of them, such as these skeletons, we have no idea what the purpose of the photograph originally was. When it comes to the paintings and drawings category, the range is just as wide. We have greetings cards and stationery. On the left, we have a New Year's card. And we also have lots of examples of cartoons and other humorous illustrations, such as this cricket cartoon by Tom Brown from 1903 on the right. A large proportion of the paintings and drawings are clearly for a directly commercial purpose. These include advertising posters, labels, and product packaging. This example on the left is for Alan's chocolate cream cake. There are also illustrations such as this of a sheep on the right, where again we are not sure what they are intended to be used for, but could be illustrations for books or magazines. More unusually, You can also find examples of board game designs, including the packaging as well as the boards themselves. This one is for a game called Married First or Wedding Bells. Each of the images you've just seen is attached to an entry form, completed by the person who wanted to register the image for copyright protection. The entry forms contain really important details of the people and organisations involved in creating and protecting the work. They include the name and address of the person submitting the application, the name and address of the artist or photographer, a description of the work, and the date it was submitted. If researchers are able to access this information, they would be able to look for the names of particular artists, photographers, and businesses of interest. In addition, they could also look for keywords and themes that might come up in the descriptions of the images. While the collection has remained uncatalogued, this information is all hidden within the forms, and it has been very hard to find a particular record. The intention of this cataloguing project is to transcribe all the information in the forms and upload it to our catalogue, Discovery. The project has been going on now for some years, and thankfully all of the photographs in the collection have already been catalogued. The task that our volunteers are working on now is to catalogue the huge collection of paintings and drawings. Volunteers look at each image and each form in turn, decipher the handwriting, which can be quite difficult, and then transcribe the information into a spreadsheet. They also measure the image attached and enter its size in centimetres. All of this information is then uploaded to the online catalogue. During the COVID-19 pandemic, while volunteers were unable to do any cataloguing on site, we also began uploading photographs of the records from the page. This has enabled people from all over the world to take part in the cataloguing project, and has been a real success. This remote part of the project is still ongoing, at the same time as volunteers are working on site. So now we have begun to make some progress with this project. What does this mean for researchers? Well, now if you search for a keyword or name in Discovery, our online catalogue, your results will include some of the paintings and drawings and all of the photographs. And you'll be able to view full details from the original entry forms. While this is beginning to open up research, we are still only at the beginning of the project for the paintings and drawings, and there are many, many more boxes to complete. As well as making it possible for researchers to search the catalogue for information on an individual level, this project also opens up opportunities for digital analysis on a larger scale. To demonstrate this, I've taken all the information catalogued for paintings and drawings for one complete year, the year 1893, and started to analyse it using digital research methods. In 1893, there were 2,847 works submitted for copyright protection, an average of about 225 per month. This graph shows how many registrations there were each month in 1893. I also extended the analysis using some additional tools, including the programming language Python and a natural language processing library called Spacie. This enabled me to separate the different elements of the text and create a word cloud showing the most commonly used nouns in the descriptions of the artwork, giving us a simple indication of the kinds of subjects present. Human subjects do appear to be most common, but there are also terms which suggest there are lots of landscapes. Girl and man are the most common terms for human subjects. There are 418 works which use the term girls or women or ladies, and 356 works which use the term boys, man, or gentleman in their descriptions. You can also study the locations present in the data and visualize this on a map. The entry forms contain addresses for both owners of copyright and the artists themselves. This map shows many of the locations of the artists and designers who created each work which was being registered. This cataloguing project is going to take a few more years to fully complete. When it is complete, the collection will have detailed catalogue descriptions, and these will be fully searchable by anyone who is interested. By enabling easier access to this amazing historical source, the project will make a great contribution to the study of Victorian and Edwardian history, art, advertising, and visual culture.